I'm Eddie Cooper, and my community outreach program is to build a better relationship between students in the community with their law enforcement. What I envision is that police officers would go into the schools and talk to the students about what they do and why they do the things that they do. This would be similar to the DARE program, but it would not have the emphasis on don't do drugs and just say no. It would have a bigger emphasis on the community and building those relationships. The students would then learn about what they can do for their community. This would go all the way up until high school. So, hopefully, when they are adults, they'll know how they can help their community and how they can help the police officers if they're ever in a situation involving with the police. As I stated on my previous slide, my target population is kindergarten all the way through high school. I would then divide this population into 3 different groups: elementary school, middle school, and high school. The reason being is that you wouldn't say the same things as you would say to a high schooler as you would to an elementary school student. This is why I would divide these groups in this way based on their age groups. The goals of this outreach program are to build a better community, to teach kids it's okay to talk to the police, that the police's main job is to protect the community, the emphasis on the police's why, that everyone is an individual, not just a uniform, and how to report, and to break the stigma of police officers. So to start is to build a better community. With a better sense of community and better relationships within the community between police officers and the people within the community, it makes it easier for the police officers to do their job. If people are comfortable with talking to the police and they are able to talk to the police, it makes their jobs way easier. Right here I have working with the police versus against the police. It is way easier for the police officers to work with the people than when the people are working against the police. It makes their job easier and they're able to find the truth quicker. Next, talking to the police. When you're talking to the police officer's main agenda is to find the truth and to protect the victim. So talking to the police should not be scary, and we should not be scared of the police. They are there to help us, and they are there to help the victims. If we get this point across, it'll make it way easier for people to report, and they'll feel way more comfortable reporting. Next, the police officer's main job is to protect the community and to keep the community safe. There is no hidden agenda of what they are trying to do. If we can get this point across that they care about the community and they want to be there and they are protecting the community, this will help with the building the relationships. Emphasis on the police officers' why. The police officers care about their community. They live in the community too. It's their community just as much as it's the people's community. They want to keep it clean and safe from drugs and violence. That is why they are doing their jobs. That's why they are doing what they are doing. Everyone is an individual. This is a main point that I want to point out of this program. With building these relationships, we are learning what people are as individuals. Police officers have problems. Children have problems. We get to learn about those problems and learn how to help those people with those problems. We also get to learn about what those people are as a person. Like, you're not just a police officer. You're also a person. You're also a dad. You're also a father. You're also a mother. Same with the students. They're also athletes. They also play instruments. It's learning what they do and seeing them as a person, not just as an individual. Reporting. With building these relationships, the hope is that the students will then feel way more comfortable with reporting if there is something going on within their homes or within their communities. Whether it's relation with drugs or abuse in their home, they'd feel more comfortable reporting because they have this relationship with the police. And then finally, the main one is to break the stigma. The stigma that the police officers have an agenda, that the police officers are targeting a certain group, and that the police officers are bad, the police officers do this, the police officers have to make a certain amount of arrests, that by the end of the month they have to pull over a certain amount of people by the end of the month and give them a certain amount of tickets by the end of the month. If we are able to break this stigma that they're doing these things because they have a hidden agenda and that they're doing these things because it's their job to protect the community and keep the community safe, whether it is arresting someone or giving them a ticket, that is what their job is, and there's reasons why they are doing these things. And another stigma to break is the consequences of reporting, that you are the person putting them in trouble. You're the person that got them in trouble. No, the person that is doing the bad thing that is worth reporting is the person that got them in trouble. If we're able to break these stigmas and help relieve the peer pressure of the consequences of reporting, and the students feel more comfortable with reporting, it'll help the police officers tenfold. So, with this program, the objectives are to meet with the students once per semester, once in the fall and once in the spring. The fall meeting would be more of a talk. They would have an interactive presentation, talk to the students, tell them what they do, and basically day to day what the students can do, just talking to them and making a presentation base. But in the spring, they would do more activities with the students. Like for the elementary students, they can do crafts with them, teaching them how to make certain things that could help them in a situation, or doing relay races with them, just building that connection. With high schoolers, they could be more of a ride-along situation because they're old enough, they can understand, and they firsthand see what the police officers are doing to shape their community. And the police officers would also teach about what is important to report, and that stuff doesn't have to be quote unquote big enough to report. Some things seem small but are actually big in the eyes of the law. So it's important to teach the kids that not everything is too small to report. And then the last objective is to see the importance of their role, both students and police officers. If they're able to see their importance as students, that if they report, they can help the police and give them valuable information, that is a good step in learning about what they can do for their community. And if police officers see that their impact on these students is helping the community, that is just another goal that we are wanting to meet. The funding of this outreach program would first be asked government funding, because we are asking police officers to take time out of their work schedule to come in and talk to the students at the school. If we're able to get government funding to help pay the police officers to be in these schools teaching these kids, that would be amazing. And then we would then do some fundraising with the students and with the school to just get some more funding with if they have to do activities, if they are going to do a field day or stuff like that with the activities with the police officers. And then donations, either if it's money or if it's a company wanted donating supplies. Like for example, if a company wants to donate some supplies of art supplies, then the police officers can show how to make an emergency contact card or something like that to help the students in their community. The training needs. The police officers would need to know good public speaking because they will be talking to hundreds of kids and in an assembly-based area. So they would need to know public speaking and how to talk to kids of all age groups, knowing what words they need to use with high schoolers versus what words they need to use with elementary schoolers, because there's a big difference. And then learning how to interact with people of all backgrounds. This will actually help the police officers learn about a little bit what is going on within their community if they are right there at the front lines talking to these students. They'll hear about what they do day to day, how they get to school, and all those environmental factors that are playing into their community. So how we would get this program up and running. First, we would need the support of the community, law enforcement, and the schools. With that, we would be able to start getting some ideas flowing and start figuring out how we can make this possible. And then we would need to meet with the school board, superintendent, and probably the chief of police. We would need to meet with these three and figure out how is this doable with the police officer schedule? How are we able to divvy up some police officers and getting into the schools? What police officers would be good for what schools versus other schools, and what age levels that they should be in, having these conversations, and then also the school board and the superintendent talking about their biggest issues within the schools. So if they're able to have these conversations about the community, what's going on within the schools, what's going on within the law enforcement. It'll be able to figure out what exactly they need to do to get started. Another thing is that they should ask the teachers about what is going on within the schools. The teachers see it firsthand from the students what they are going through, whether it's they're going through stuff at home or if there's stuff going on within the school itself. They are the first ones to know about it and to hear about it. So they're big resources in figuring out what needs to be talked about. And then finally, they would just need to set up some dates and times that would work best for the police officers and for the schools, making sure that the schools are staying on agenda and that the police officers are not understaffed. So clearly the law enforcement involvement is all in at this outreach program. They're involved in all aspects, whether it is figuring out what they're going to talk about, writing their speeches of what they're going to say, figuring out activities to do with the kids, doing the speeches, talking to the kids, doing these activities with the kids. They're involved in every single aspect of this outreach program. They're making the direct connections with the students and with the people within the school, and they are the main part of this outreach program. And then they need to be intentional with their involvement because they're going to be giving up time that they be out on the street patrolling. It needs to be intentional on both sides. So in conclusion, this outreach program is to build better relationship with this, starting with the students within the community. If we are able to get this program up and running with the students learning from the police officers and the police officers learning from the students, we will be able to see people more as individuals and not just a uniform.